to take children and chopping off the heads.
His head was chopped off. Cutting babies' heads off.
Remember Joe Biden's infamous lie about seeing pictures of beheaded babies on October 7th?
I've been doing this a long time. I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed pictures of terrorists beheading children.
Mehdi Hassan and Bassem Youssef, on their latest show on ZDO, began brutally mocking the Zionist lies about baby killings on October 7th.
Horrible things have happened, and yet for some reason, I can't imagine why, Israeli military, Israeli officials, some journalists, and the American government decide to make shit up.
In my mind, it will always live the testimony of Antony Blinken, the highest ranking US official in front of Congress, when he described this scene about a group of Hamas terrorists went in, raped the woman, cut off her breast, gouged the eyes of the father, amputated the limb of the daughter, and cut off the finger of the little child, and then they sat down having breakfast. Who have the luxury to do that in a war zone? And also, where's the IDF during all of that? So we are supposed to believe that actually happened. No, that was debunked. That is the story that actually primed the world to accept and turn a blind eye for the horrible killing of it. But I have a few questions. First of all, that guy, Antony Blinken, never apologized for that.
Nope.
This was actually refuted many times, even by the Israeli media themselves.
Yep.
And he never took it back. And also, as a doctor, you know how hard it is to cut into breast tissue, into human tissue using a box cutter? Like, is it like you guys, like, are we f***ing stupid? Are you talking to little kids? Even bedtime stories are more believable than this.
So on the subject of believable or unbelievable stories, the big one was babies beheaded.
Yeah.
40 of them.
Yes, and Joe Biden saw pictures. He said, and when the White House was asked, what about the pictures?
Yeah, they walked it back immediately. So it was this. So what I get is, and we're going to talk a little bit about Zaka.
But Biden lies the whole
time. By the way,
time.
let's talk about Zaka, by the way, in context. So there's a group called Zaka, for those of you who don't know, religious volunteers, ultra-Orthodox, who turn up at crime scenes, tragedies, natural disasters, collect bodies, try and get them ready for Jewish burials. But they end up wrecking crime scenes. They're not credible organizations when it comes to their testimonies. The founder of Zaka, ironically the group that has spread so many stories about dead babies and sexual violence, he committed suicide a few years ago when he was accused of mass child rape. They have a long history of being accused by Israeli media of trying to fundraise off of atrocities. And their volunteers came up with a lot of outlandish stories. A lot of stories, the ones you mentioned, etc., come from Zaka and another group called United Hatzalah. And Zaka is a group that has been caught again and again, their volunteers, again and again, lying about what happened on October 7th, claiming to have seen babies executed, beheaded, put in ovens, etc., which didn't happen. A lot of these stories come from Zaka and United Hatzalah. They've never apologized properly. They just say, oh, it was an emotional day. And yet the media keeps using them as a source, these groups that have absolutely no expertise in these fields. What's astonishing is I can believe that on a day of tragedy and chaos like that, where the military are absent and complete amateurs are at crime scenes, I can get the chaos. I can get people saw things, got things wrong. But the beheaded baby story comes days later, and it's perpetuated for days on end. An Israeli reporter for I-24 first says a commander told her this story. They throw in, people don't realize this, not just 40 beheaded babies, Bassem. Do you know that one colonel called Vash, Golan Vash, he said that he personally witnessed 8 burned babies inside a kibbutz, and that he personally evacuated. He carried the baby out that was beheaded. No such baby exists. That video, Bassem, is still up. The video of him saying this is still up on the Israeli government's official Twitter feed. As of the day of recording today, it is still up on that feed. So this is not accident. This is not fog of war. No. This is not just a bit of chaos and confusion. They deliberately took the most emotive subject to justify their genocide.
My favorite is that the whole idea about baby in ovens, which was repeated by Mike Johnson, who's the Speaker of the House.
Repeated very recently.
Only 2 weeks ago
on CNN.
A couple of months ago. But here's the thing. The way that it's it was just one of the rescuers where it was so shocked and traumatized. So he was misrepresented. The only way that you saw something and you think it's a baby baked in oven, that you are on acid. There's no other explanation. It's not traumatization.
There is another explanation.
It's not traumatization.
You're a liar.
No, it's not.
You're a liar.
You're either a liar on very, very bad drugs. This is the kind of acid will make you see. I don't know. I haven't tried it. But this is crazy. The fact that you to openly say baked babies in ovens, and it's like, oh, sorry, he was mistaken.
It got worse. They said the babies were hung on clotheslines.
Yeah, that's another baby. It's
insane.
No.
But the weaponized...
baby is in oven. That's different from the baby online clothes. It's different from the baby that was cut off from a pregnant woman in her womb. So these are 3 different babies. Get your facts checked.
Get my facts checked. And they're all, by the way, from these volunteer groups who are then
were all traumatized.
Hold on. Who are then quoted in the New York Times, in CNN, in all the media organizations, in the BBC, without journalists in the West doing the basic work to tell their readers, these guys have also said stuff that's completely discredited them. If you or I were eyewitnesses and made up stories like this, we would be laughed out of court, we would be laughed out of the media, we would be laughed out of our jobs. Yet these people are still spreading the kind of crap.
And yet New York Times get the Pulitzer.
I just want a serious question. Funny, be serious. You are a father.
Can you actually be serious in this?
I have...
Can you?
I'm very serious. I'm always serious.
I
have resting angry Muslim face. I have RAMF, Bassem. I have resting angry Muslim face. Even when I'm happy, I look angry.
I know, but the situations like this is where you really have to put logic behind you.
But I'm angry. No, but I'm angry because I'm a father. You're a father. They knew what they were doing by using babies as the way to
decapitated.
justify. By the way, I should point out, recently in Rafah, we actually saw with our own eyes a decapitated baby.
But they don't care.
From an Israeli bomb.
But they're Palestinians.
That
cancels out.
They don't count.
But
the tragic irony of lying about something so horrific to then go do violence in Gaza, which actually caused real decapitated babies. But they knew what they were doing when they said babies. That emotion that went around the world.
Because this is what happens. If you see a baby, what do you see? They can only do 3 things: smile, cry, and poop. That's it. There's no threat. But if you go in as a person seeing a baby and you take your knife, you decap, you go through the skin, the tissue, the trachea, the spine, and then you do that 40 times, those are animals. And if they're animals, they deserve what they're getting. So now we can carpet bomb everybody.
Remember, Yoav Gallant used the phrase animals on October 8th. Just one last point I want to say on the baby front as a journalist. One, the people who said that stuff have never been held to account, the journalists who propagated it. There's no corrections.
No.
You know, Douglas Murray and John Podhoretz and all these pro-Israel pundits wrote columns in the media. There's no corrections appended. No one's gone back and put a correction at the bottom on a lot of these pieces. And number 2, I've been trying to say this to American interviewers in particular for a while. When the Israeli military lie again to you again and again and again, at some point, don't you say, fool me once, shame on me, right? Fool me, whatever the bloody phrase is. At some point, don't you say, we've got to stop being propagandized. We've got to stop buying this bullshit.
We say that, but it's people on the other side who want these comfortable lies in order to give them justification.
No, I understand.
To see what happens.
But we took years to stop believing police departments when they said, the black man pulled a gun on us at the traffic stop. Now we say, let's not believe the first police statement. But when Israeli generals are saying, Israeli colonels are saying, I carried a beheaded baby in my arms, you should never trust that man again. He should be laughed out of all the court of public opinion and the media. Instead, we continue to platform them and give them weird respect and deference that we wouldn't give the North Korean military or the Russian military.
Dude, you already know how these people think. You are in a debate and you were booed when you mentioned Oxfam. So this is like people...
But that's what I'm saying. Those are the extremists. I'm talking about journalists who claim to be upholding democratic skepticism, journalistic fact checks.
That doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work anymore.
So let's talk about a subject...
There are lies and
So let's talk about a big journalistic failure.
They're not even good comedians.
Let's talk...